A mobile computing device for photography, backing up your photos, everything like that. I made an attempt. Didn't work out amazingly well, but it did work to the point that I'm going to talk about it. Let's get started. This laptop I purchased, it was a certified refurbished laptop from eBay. There's a whole side story to that. eBay had contacted me maybe in 2020 or something like that, and they said, hey, you want one of these certified refurbished things? Look through what we've got. When I sent them my terms to do a collaboration, they ghosted me. Later, I decided to purchase one on my own and see what it's like. Of course, they have multiple sellers. I picked this one that you should not use. I'll put the name on the screen. It is relatively compact, so that's one of my goals with a type of device. Bigger than I would have hoped, but there is at least a difference that I can take with me to conventions, multiple days, backing up photos, maybe editing photos, posting some stuff, which would be really nice. And at the very least, it's compact enough that it'll fit in most of my backpacks, but it is very heavy. It's older. Basically, I had to refurbish this refurbished laptop. It looked terrible. I'll cue to that footage. I didn't notice this is a large crack on the computer. If you do buy something old, you're going to potentially have a lot of issues related to battery. If you can't replace the battery easily, that's going to be a hassle for you. What I didn't notice is that it needed a BIOS update, but you couldn't install the BIOS update with less than 10% charge on the battery. Safety feature, understandable, but any average user would have no way of getting that working, so they would have a dead battery effectively. I did find, through searching on the internet, a command with the BIOS update to run it, force it, make it work. But it works well enough that I at least have a backup computer when I need it for taxes or whatever. What this does right, I was able to upgrade the storage inside 1 terabyte when I had it on hand. Of course, I would put maybe 2 terabytes, which would be ideal. So for a computing device like this, being able to back up your photos, videos, the nice thing with this Dell, it was pretty easy to mess around with, assemble, disassemble. They had a lot of documentation to show where screws are and everything. Connectivity, USB ports, things like that. This one does have an SD card reader, which is key for me, but of course you can use a dongle or something to get that functionality if you need it. The main thing this does not have that I would really like to try out and see if it works well is pressure sensitive pen support for editing. In the future, I'm going to potentially look for another device that is smaller, lighter, still has a good amount of storage, decent amount of RAM, and functionality software-wise with the pressure-sensitive pen support to see if that really helps with the editing side of things. Also, with internet connectivity, maybe having a cellular connection would be ideal. In some situations, if the Wi-Fi at a hotel or something doesn't work amazingly well, you could at least use your phone internet, but I guess you could potentially connect your phone itself to some type of tablet. Something like this, you put some effort into it. If you do get a certified refurbished thing or some other website company, of course return it if you don't get something that's functional and what you expect. In my case, I kept it around just for a video like this. Currently, as of this video, you've got the Apple stuff, the Microsoft stuff, potentially other third parties. If you know of any that would work really well and fit all of these specifications that I'd like, let me know in the comments. But basically Apple, you've got the standard iPads, iPad Pro, and the iPad Mini. The Mini looks pretty appealing for the size, but storage-wise, I think you can go up to 256 gigabytes, which I would personally like a lot more internal storage, especially when there's a single USB port. You can't put any external storage into it, like an SD card. But I guess at the very least you could connect some type of external storage device. The iPad Pro 11-inch does look pretty appealing. You can go up to 2 terabytes of storage. You can do the cellular connection, but then you're hitting like nearly $2,300, $2,500, depending on if you want a keyboard or not. And I would want the pen, which is another expense. The Microsoft Surface tablets look pretty appealing. The Pro version is 13 inches, a little bit larger than I would personally like. However, it does have 2 USB ports, which looks really appealing. And I think there's a SD card reader, but again, it's expensive like the Apple stuff. Actually, I think even a little bit more expensive depending on your configuration. And in a situation like this, if you want to really save money, try to get enough functionality, you could attempt something like this. Let me know if you have or would like to. Maybe I can provide some suggestions for that. If you've got your own suggestions with some type of other company that does tablets with USB SD card reader, maybe additional storage that I can put into it like a micro SD card, would be really nice. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. It's Captain Banzai. Thanks.